Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us here, and thank you for being here for the announcement of the 2022 Executive Capital Budget for the City of Madison and the 5-year Capital Improvement Plan, which details my funding proposals for buildings, infrastructure, and other capital investments in our community. This is one of two parts of the city's full budget. My 2022 executive operating budget will be released in October and will include additional services and programs. I want to start by thanking Justice Castaneda, Megan Diaz, Ashley Golke, and all of the other folks here at Commonwealth Development for hosting us at Main Street Industries today, and for all of the work that you all do to support businesses and people here in Madison. We'll hear more from Megan in a minute. And I want to recognize the businesses that are here in Main Street Industries. In particular, I want to thank the folks that are here with us today. Melissa Clements from Eco-Friendly Flooring, Susan Kay from Bake Madison, and Erica Jones and Jessica Jones from Giant Jones Brewery. These businesses, along with Bali and Soul, have all received small business equity and recovery funding from the city, and I really appreciate them joining us today. You'll also hear more from Susan in a minute. And I want to thank Alder Brian Benford, the Alder for District 6, for being here, and also Dave Schmidtke, who's our Finance Director, and Matt Miklajewski, who is our Economic Development Director, are here as well. A year ago, in my capital budget message, I noted that our city was facing unprecedented challenges. A year later, this continues to be true. COVID-19 remains with us, and although we have made great progress with vaccination levels in Dane County, we still face ongoing challenges with the impacts of the virus in our community. Our economy is starting to recover, but many of our residents continue to be disproportionately impacted by the pandemic's effect on their work, their housing, and their economic security. And as we work to recover from the pandemic, my capital budget will help fund the services and programs that help Madison residents and businesses through that recovery. In this capital budget, I propose to increase funding for affordable housing and homeownership assistance to those who need it most, to expand the opportunity to own and grow a business here in Madison, to improve critical transit service, particularly to underserved communities, and to expand our investments in sustainability, as the pandemic has reinforced the importance of resilience and sustainability for all of us. Housing remains a critical priority for our community, and I propose in this budget to increase affordable housing and homeownership to those who need assistance the most. In particular, I propose nearly $20 million for consumer lending programs, which is a $4.7 million increase, $42 million to support the construction of affordable housing, a $3.5 million increase over last year's 5-year plan, and to begin planning for the redevelopment of aging public housing, including Truax Apartments, Teresa Terrace, and the Triangle, all critical housing resources for our community. Businesses have been hit particularly hard by the pandemic and are still recovering. We are here today to highlight our support for small businesses. Main Street Industries was established with city support 25 years ago and has incubated businesses like Ancora Coffee, Shop Bop, Full Spectrum Solar, and EVP Coffee. Today, it houses 18 businesses, including 4 that have utilized the city small business equity and recovery funds. To further support our neighborhoods and businesses, this budget proposes to grow the small business equity and recovery program, including the commercial building ownership program, by $500,000 per year in future years, which will help us support women, people of color, and other underrepresented entrepreneurs starting to grow their businesses and invest in economic recovery. Budget also proposes to increase the Healthy Retail Access Program by $500,000 over 5 years, to establish a new program to support smaller capital projects proposed by nonprofit community partners to help specific neighborhoods or populations, and to move us to a more sustainable Madison I am expanding community sustainability programming, including increasing funding for our Madison program, making energy and water efficiency improvements in naturally occurring affordable housing, investing in numerous improvements to city parks, beaches, and shorelines to enhance equitable access to our waterfront, continuing a series of watershed studies to help us target stormwater management investments and reduce flooding risks as our climate gets wetter, investing $16.5 million to acquire electric public works vehicles and buses, converting all city-owned streetlights to LEDs, continuing investments in renewable energy and energy efficiency of city facilities, including utilizing our successful Green Power Solar Trainee program. All of these investments in sustainability are critical for our community as we continue to face the negative impacts of climate change. This budget also continues to invest in a safe, sustainable, and equitable transportation system in Madison. I remain committed to constructing a bus rapid transit system which will improve commute times and reduce congestion. This budget includes $4 million in 2023 to plan for the north-south bus rapid transit line in addition to the east-west BRT line that will soon be under construction. And to ensure motorist, pedestrian, and bicyclist safety, I'm investing in a new Safe Streets Madison and 20 is Plenty programs to build on our Vision Zero initiative. And to seize the opportunity provided by the federal government, this budget also includes $120,000 to help us plan for train service to Madison under the Amtrak Connect US plan. The 5-year capital improvement plan includes a number of other infrastructure investments to renew parts of our aging system and help us keep up with a changing climate and a growing city, including rebuilding University Avenue and Atwood Avenue and the John Nolan Drive bridges. This budget also begins for the first time to extend services to the town of Madison, whose residents will become city residents on October 31st of 2022. I'm including investments in affordable housing, land banking, and public safety infrastructure to serve our new residents. And in order to replace that aging infrastructure and build up services to support incoming residents from the town, the 5-year capital improvement plan includes approximately $55 million more in planned general obligation borrowing compared to the plan we adopted last year. One notable difference from a year ago is that we have a new president and a Congress that are more focused on helping cities. The American Rescue Plan Act, for the first time in decades, has allocated general financial support directly to cities. And the 2022 executive capital budget allocates $9.7 million of our ARPA funds for specific projects from the priorities that were outlined in our ARPA plan adopted by the Common Council. I approached the decisions about funding capital projects this year in a strategic way to ensure that projects included in my budget are in alignment with our city priorities. Not every project could be funded. I've reduced total borrowing in the SIP by $20 million compared to agency requests. But I believe that this is a budget that reflects the needs of our community and balances them with the resources available to us. Building back better from the pandemic means we must address racial equity and social justice through sustainable ways of living and working, through housing options that are affordable for everyone, and through strategies to foster equitable business development. This budget makes investments in these goals. This budget is one part of making the Madison that we imagine come true, a city that is innovative, inclusive, and thriving. Thank you, and now let me introduce Megan Diaz from Commonwealth Development. Commonwealth owns and operates Main Street Industries and is a valued community partner delivering quality, affordable housing.
Good morning, all, and thank you, Madam Mayor Satya Rhodes-Conway, and all of the amazing staff at the City of Madison who support our work and make it possible. I'm very honored and absolutely privileged to be here on behalf of Commonwealth Development. We are here today at a piece of Madison's rich history. This historic building was purchased in 1994 by Commonwealth Development in partnership with the City of Madison. We leveraged our knowledge from our first business incubator, the Madison Enterprise Center, and our Commonwealth leadership and staff had a vision to turn a once closed Greyhound bus terminal into a small business incubation space for light industrial and manufacturing businesses. Their vision came to fruition, and now we're celebrating the 25th anniversary this year of Main Street Industries. Main Street Industries is a hub of economic growth, mobility, and influence of many of Madison's small businesses since 1996. This 50,000 square foot space has been home to dozens of businesses for the past 25 years and is home to 17 growing and thriving businesses currently, some of which you'll hear from today. But what I love most about our incubator space is the synergy that our businesses have established with each other and the community. We frequently get to see collaborations amongst our businesses to showcase each other's products and missions, helping one another out, whether it be with a bottle labeler or working through applying for funding for different business grants. These are the ideas that are central to a business incubator. The small business ecosystem that has been created here is due to the amazing businesses who carry out these ideas every day. Many of our businesses are also social enterprises and entrepreneurs who give a portion of their profits to grassroots organizations around the city who are fighting social inequities and calling for the city and calling for change. I'm so proud to be just a small part of this work that carries out Commonwealth Development's mission and vision. Commonwealth Development not only aims to synergize the work of our small businesses, but also works to synergize the work and operations across our programs. Commonwealth's work focuses on housing, economic development, sustainable land use, and health equity and violence prevention. Not only do we focus our efforts on economic justice through our business incubation and workforce development programming, we also focus our efforts on housing justice and ensuring that safe and healthy housing is available to low and mid-income families in Madison and Dane County. In perpetuity, that means forever. The City of Madison has been pivotal to our work in housing justice and recently contributed both home and grant funds to support an 11-unit project, the Alliance at 5802 Raymond Road. And the sum of those funds were almost $1 million. So thank you so much to the city for supporting our work in housing. We know that is such an important issue that we're working on, especially through the COVID-19 pandemic. And synergizing this work is so important and critical to economic justice. We use our rent revenue from the incubators to fund our youth and our adult workforce programs, to help sustain our housing, and to keep our business incubators running. So when you're purchasing a product from our small businesses, you're not only purchasing a product to support that business, you're helping to put a young person through our financial literacy programming. You're helping them obtain a work permit and start their first job. You're also helping a family find safe and affordable housing, and you're supporting our violence prevention work in the community. Seeing housing and economic justice be at the forefront of community initiatives in the mayor's capital budget is absolutely phenomenal, and I look forward to working with the city on more initiatives in 2022. Thank you.
Thank you, Megan. The work that Commonwealth does and the synergies that they create is really remarkable in our community, and I'm very proud to be able to support their work in some ways. I want to now introduce Susan Kay of Bake Madison, a local business located here at Main Street Industries and a recipient of City Small Business Funds and also a delicious bakery. Susan?
Good morning, and thank you all for this opportunity to just briefly share what the SBER recovery program meant for me and Bake Madison. So to back up a little bit, in January of 2020, I signed my lease with Commonwealth Development and for a space here at the Main Street Industries building. I worked from January through March to get the space built out and to have all the equipment purchased and in place. And my grand opening was scheduled for April the 7th of 2020. And as we know, that was preempted. And so at that point, what do you do as a small business owner? You have to figure out what the next step is. So you quickly figure it out. And for me, that meant instead of having a storefront and some production capabilities, I needed to form an online or an e-commerce business, and I needed to do it quickly. And my website wasn't built out; I hadn't gotten that far yet, and so I was pulling at resources that instead of growing my business and being able to hire someone to help me with this, because at that point it was just me, I had to instead use those funds and that money that was allocated to that to fund a website and to fund some of this e-commerce and food photography that was required for my bakery products. And so that needed to be replaced somehow, or I needed to make up for it somehow, and COVID wasn't seeming to lighten up. And this was an opportunity then for me to reach out and apply, and I was granted a sum of money, thank you. And I used that money to then replace. I've since hired my first employee, and we have now expanded our distribution. We are now in the Metcalfs here in Madison and at Brennan's Market in Madison, and I'm working to build a national brand, Babka by Bake. So I appreciate it. I am very grateful to Commonwealth and to the mayor and the city and all of you for being here today to listen to our story, and I hope you will all follow us for future excitement. Thank you.
Thank you, and I really do encourage everyone to check out these excellent businesses and the businesses located here in Main Street Industries overall. Every small business in our community is struggling now to keep going through the pandemic and to deal with all the issues that has presented. And while it's very important for the city to support our small business community, and I believe that this budget does that, it's also really important for our community to support our small businesses, and so I invite everyone to join me in doing that. And that is our speakers for today. I'm happy to answer questions, and I'm sure that the wonderful folks behind me would be happy to answer questions. We're also happy to do one-on-ones if folks would like that. Are there any questions? Abby?
Yeah, how did the institutions of federal aid provide more flexibility in your budget planning work that might not have existed before that?
It's an excellent question, Abby. The receiving ARPA funds has just been absolutely transformational this year, and it's absolutely changes the game with respect to our budget. As you know, the city budget has suffered pretty dramatically from the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic in lost revenue in a number of different categories. Without the funding from the federal government, it would be very, very difficult for us to be making the investments that we're making in this capital budget, and it would be difficult for us to balance the operating budget going forward. I'm incredibly grateful to President Biden and to Congress for delivering aid directly to cities during the course of the pandemic, and I'm very hopeful that they will continue to support cities through the infrastructure package, both the initial one and then the package that's moving through reconciliation in Congress now. And I really hope that they can come to agreement and further support cities. Cities are the backbone of our economy, and federal investments are critical for our success. Other questions? I'm happy to do a one-on-one with you after we finish. Any other questions on the budget? All right, thank you all for coming, and thanks again to all of you here. I really appreciate you being here. Again, I'm happy to do one-on-ones, and I'm sure that the folks from the businesses would be as well, to learn more about their businesses and the way that the city is supporting them. Thank you.